Hopefully this is just chicken thighs. I ain't got no goddamn corona.
Dude, if you got corona, I got corona.
I know, bro.
Shit.
This
podcast gave me more than nothing. You gave me a disease.
I'm sick, you bitch.
That's what she said.
I'm gonna march on.
Working Fans Podcast. Cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. Coming down 3, 2.
Welcome back for another week of the Working Fans Podcast. This is AJ. I'm the former wrestler. We've got Dave, the ultimate fan, here with us. As we do every week, our producer Joe likes to make us sound good and makes us look way more professional than we actually are. As always, you can find us on Twitter, that's @FansWorking, Facebook, Working Fans Pod. We've got email where you can reach out to us and please contact us to let us know what you think of the podcast and for any ideas that you might have. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. We're on Instagram where you can keep up with us at workingfanswrestling_pod. And then you can now listen to us on all major platforms, including Anchor.fm. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, and you can actually check us out on YouTube. Now, it's important when you go onto the Apple Podcasts and YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a rating, let us know what you think so you can help us out and we can continue to do what we love and bring you guys in as fans. All right, here we go, fans. We're back again. The Working Fans Podcast, live and in Technicolor. It's myself, AJ Strangebrew. I've been sequestered, and my co-host, Dynamite Dave, and we're going to light things up. Dave, what do you got?
I got all kinds of shit, baby. I don't got the coronavirus, but I might have some other viruses.
Hey, they make pills for those too, buddy.
Yeah, so be careful out there. I want to get into a topic this week I think it is very worth talking about. Obviously, there's a lot of talk going on with empty arena stuff. Coronavirus is the big thing right now, and we're getting a lot of these shows with, no fans, but they're still putting out shows, and some people are mad that WrestleMania is still going on, and I get it. I want to talk to you for a minute because you have a very unique insight that a lot of people don't realize. You have a very unique way of looking at wrestling. Now AEW and NXT went head-to-head this week, like every week, basically. And we both knew right away, okay, AEW should, by all purposes, slaughter them in the ratings. Now, we had two different outlooks on that. We both agreed that NXT basically put on a throwaway show. I think we can agree on that. What people don't understand, though, and you can correct me on all this, you wouldn't call it just a throwaway show. Those video packages that WWE does that people love, and even AEW and other people, you do not like any of that shit. You can't stand these promotional video packages. You're not a fan of them, especially during a TV show or a pay-per-view. You don't like recaps, essentially, is what I'm getting.
I think you're being a little light here. You're saying I don't like them or I can't stand them. I hate them.
Yeah, okay.
To me, it's just garbage that they're throwing out there to fill a show instead of giving us wrestling.
Okay. Now, the argument would be people who maybe haven't seen the stuff, they would get a recap, but you're saying figure it out, follow along, do the research, as I'm guessing.
Don't get me wrong, recap shows were very important back in the 80s, 90s, 70s, when there was no way to actually see what had happened the week before. There are so many outlets now where you can actually see what has happened throughout the week, what is going on, and where we are in the world of wrestling. If you're waiting for a recap on the next week's show, you're just being lazy and you're not even a real fan.
Okay, so two things, too, I would say. One, to be fair, too, but you didn't like recaps in the 90s or 80s either.
No, I hated those, too.
Right, okay. You would probably not have been against this show being like a recap storytelling type show had you known about it ahead of time, too.
No, if they had told me, hey, listen, guys, the coronavirus is out there. We're going to take this week off. We're just going to give you a recap. Because at that point, I could have said, okay, I'm just not going to bother watching.
Right. And the thing is, basically, at the end of the day, we both know, too, we both agree with this, they probably got a show, dumped in their lap. I mean, fair to say, you would agree that the reason why WrestleMania is going to be 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, one of the reasons is they're canceling TakeOver.
They could have easily just made TakeOver into 2 shows and did half of TakeOver last week, half of TakeOver this week, and there you go. Everything at the Performance Center. It's not like most of those wrestlers that are on NXT don't live in Florida now. Most of them live around the actual Performance Center, so there's no reason that they can't have an empty arena or even fill the arena with other wrestlers from the PC. You've got hundreds of wrestlers that are actually there training right now that are not on camera.
I would agree with that. Well, I don't know if you can fill it. There might be you might only be able to have so many of them.
Yeah, but put 20 of them in the first 4 rows.
Yeah, what AEW did basically.
Yeah.
We agree on that. Now again, that brings me to you again because you have a very unique perspective, and I think it's important for people to hear this because it's interesting, and not everybody has this. A lot of people would say, "Oh man, that happened to fans there. It kind of sucks." It really doesn't bother you at all having an empty arena match.
I couldn't care less if there's not a single person in that arena.
Yeah. You don't feed off that ambience as a viewer.
I don't care. I literally tune in for wrestling.
Yeah, I get it. That's good. That's a very extreme way, I would say, of looking at it. I'd be interested in people who are remotely. I'd love to hear if anyone, shares that opinion. Feel free to tweet. Yeah, I'll get it right. Go ahead.
It's like your Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, all right. Nice callback. Yeah, I'd be very interested. So anyway, that's something me and you have always talked about. We've always had these different, unique insights to things.
Well, to go back to what you're talking about, when we went to Bloodsport 2, to me, Bloodsport 2 would be better with less fans.
I mean, it would be interesting. It would be more of a different kind of look for something like that. That's a different feel, too, though. But
I think that it would give it more of that feel. What was your favorite match last week? Not this week that just happened, but last week when they first did the empty arenas. What was your favorite match out of all the matches that they had?
Well, the one I didn't see Cesaro Bryan. That probably.
See, you didn't see that. And see, that's the one that I was going to point to. To me, that match shows exactly what you can do with an empty arena. This is a chance for them to really focus on the ability of these wrestlers to put on a match instead of focusing on the pageantry.
Well, I will say this, and you wouldn't enjoy it even. It's not really your thing with a crowd, but I did enjoy Humberto and Rey Mysterio. Was it no? Who was the luchador match? Was it Humberto and?
I think it was no. It was Ray.
It was Ray and Andrade. Yeah, Andrade.
And they put on a hell of a match, and they did that with no crowd. So once again, it showed how good they can actually be in wrestling. Now you'll notice that they didn't put on like the Street Profits. They didn't put on these ones that literally feed off of the crowd in order to make their gimmicks work. Look at the ladies wrestlers who came out and wrestled. You brought out 4 people that can actually wrestle, and Alexa Bliss. The Goddess. I don't want to mess that one up. Nikki Cross, Bayley, and Sasha Banks. Once again, 4 women that can really go in the ring.
I mean, I could definitely tell you some people that cut the promos of the week. We talked about this off before recording, but was the top 3 I could tell you right now. Bray Wyatt, Edge, Cody. All from 3 different shows, but they all killed it this week. Very tough to try to pick a winner between those 3 too. I know you and I agree on this one. We talked about it. Cody really stole the show, but Edge showed why we need him back in wrestling, and Bray Wyatt showed why he should be the flagship of the WWE right now. Yeah, if Edge could go, I don't know what kind of schedule that man can actually do right now, but in terms of chops and presence, he's already showing he's still near the top of having a presence and just being able to talk.
Well, him and Cody did the same thing. They did that same interview that we enjoy when they stare into the camera and it's like they're looking into your soul. We have had this happen to us a few times with Ric Flair. We've had it happen when Mick Foley was punching himself in the head, staring into the camera. When people look intensely, Jake Roberts is a master at that. Looking into the camera, and it's like he's talking directly to you.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Somebody brought up a great point about that promo with Edge, with Randy Orton, where he's talking about him and Foley, and Orton and Foley, basically them learning from Foley and Foley trying to teach them. And he said the one difference was that he learned grit, and Randy was a spoiled brat. And when you think about it, we were talking about this today, me and Steve from Frito out there, and he was saying that, it's kind of funny because, how good Orton's been before all this happened. And it's just Orton's just kind of lazy at times, almost like he doesn't care. But when he wants to turn it on, he can turn it on. And I thought, if you think about that, we all kind of have that impression of Randy. And that really says a lot to like what Edge said. He was talking about Orton being kind of a spoiled brat and that being the real difference. You kind of feel there's an element of truth to that. Like, Edge probably is the gritty one, where Orton is the one who can just easily do all this stuff, but he doesn't always like throw.
Well, Orton takes time off not to refresh his character. He takes time off just because he wants time off.
It's true. He's probably takes. You're right. Other than like Undertaker, who would take time off to refresh his character back in the day before he became a beat up. No, I'm not going to call Undertaker an old man. I'm not going to insult him.
You might not, but AJ Styles is telling the truth.
There's an element of truth to that, too. Absolutely. Yeah, there is. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to disrespect that man. But, I mean, yeah, there is an element of truth that he's a beat-up veteran, and boy, wouldn't it have been nice if he just retired after he lost to Roman, left his hats and jacket in the ring, and that would have been a good moment. But now he keeps coming back,
Yeah, he had the perfect goodbye.
One funny little side note here, I'll get your opinion on this. ESPN Plus app today just announced to me that tomorrow is all-day UFC day. It's like a marathon. And then Sunday, they're airing WrestleMania 30.
Oh, wow.
And all I can think of is, it's kind of funny when mainstream sport is on the sidelines, where they end up getting some of their material and one of their ways to fill time.
Well, it shows you who's going to draw more, because they could easily go back and play the hits from Major League Baseball, play old basketball games, but you know what? 3 people in Denver will tune in.
You're not a fan of going back to watch old wrestling because you view it more as a sport, and that's where a lot of people would. And you're right, like in that sense, because now actual sport fans aren't going to go back and do that. But much as like you're not that way, there is a large group of wrestling fans who go like, "Oh, WrestleMania 30's on. I'll go watch that."
Now, wait a minute. Now, because I do like watching old wrestling. Do not.
That's fair. That's fair. You like watching old wrestling that you would have forgot about, haven't seen in a very, very long time, or stuff you've never seen.
Yeah, because I probably watch more Florida Championship Wrestling, more Southwest Championship Wrestling, and stuff like that than most people out on the planet right now, to be honest with you. But it's because it's a refresher.
And that's in the last couple of years.
Yeah. So it's incredible because I do love old wrestling. Correct. I just like old wrestling that's going to tell me a story and that's going to be new to me again. I don't want to watch something that's in my memory.
Historical preference, not stuff you've seen, not stuff from the last couple months.
Exactly.
That's fair, and it's interesting. Just know out there, fans, those video packages that you might rave about that AEW or WWE or any wrestle company might do. You're wasting your time if you're going to preach to AJ. If he's already seen it, he don't give a fuck.
Yeah. If you come to me and you're trying to talk to me about that, you might as well just go talk to your wall.
Yeah. I think we're going to wrap it up. We don't have a lot of time this week, but is there anything else you want to talk about? You got a few minutes.
I do. There is some stuff that I want to talk about. One thing is, kudos to AEW.
Yeah, let's talk about AEW. Sorry, go ahead.
I think it's very important that we give credit to them. They had a big week this week. They could have easily had shelved some of those angles and said, hey, we'll wait until we can get this going again, and we're going to rest on our laurels. We'll put some wrestling out there. People will tune in. Yeah. And they didn't. They threw out 3 big angles in 1 week that really kept us going. And I know a lot of people are going to go, I saw 2 angles. I didn't see the other angle. To me, the third angle is Adam Page still barely hanging on with the Elite. And to me, that's an important angle because without that going on, I don't think you have the emotional investment quite as much in the match before they show Matt Hardy.
And even though, Matt Hardy, by the way, everybody, we're top of that. For us, the star of the show is Brody Lee, I would say. Fair?
Oh, absolutely. Brody Lee was a big-time star stealing the show there. This is a guy who has the opportunity now to show what he's got. I think a lot of us who are fans of his believe that he is capable of someday being a world champion. He speaks better on the mic than people give him credit for. And his in-work rate is absolutely incredible. I love the fact that if you notice when they were attacking Christopher Daniels, he teased like he was going to do Sister Abigail.
Yes.
And then went and did his clothesline. I thought that was a great shot across the bow there.
Good shit overall.
One thing, Dave, one thing we didn't mention, and I haven't really heard anybody mention, was the honesty with Cody. Cody took a moment there to talk about him and Kenny Omega's relationship. And I think it's clear that they are not best of friends off of the wrestling spectrum. I think they have some disagreements on how things are supposed to go. And I think that there's a certain amount of professional, I don't want to say jealousy, but it professional challenge between the two of them. And I don't think a lot of people have thought about that because it hasn't been something that's played on AEW TV. But even if you noticed in like the Being Elite and stuff like that, very seldom do Kenny and Cody involved in the same segments.
I'm sure they have different philosophies on wrestling. Very sure of that. Kenny's a big fan of intergender matches and pushing with new things. And I think Cody's more of a traditionalist, even though Cody probably wouldn't be a traditionalist by, Dusty Rhodes standards, but he's a traditionalist nonetheless.
But I just think it's a relationship that was interesting to come out a little bit this week also with that.
Yeah, I think Cody takes a nod to his father and maybe Terry Funk a little bit, and he introduces a lot of realism in his promos, and I think that's what makes his matches and his feuds and his angles so good. That's one thing I really like about Cody. Another thing that I kind of wanted to touch on this week was the ratings real quick. Just your opinion on this.
Well, it was almost 2-1.
It was 900,000 for AEW, almost 1 million, and they got 500 something, the lowest NXT ever did. Not surprising. But I want to ask you, it's pretty common knowledge, pretty much the same fan base watches both these shows. NXT will get a ton of ratings a lot of time during an overrun on a normal week. Those 500,000 fans that watch WWE this week, 90% of them, is that the hardcore of fucking hardcore? That I'm just not going to watch AEW when you got 3 fucking hot angles on another show and you're basically getting a recap storytelling show on another, you're watching that? I mean, to me, it's just like, that's got to be the hardest core fans, right? Is that what that is?
A lot of people are going to look at this as me picking a fight with the WWE fans, and if they do look at it that way, by all means, come get me. I think we can agree that WWE fans in general are more ignorant than other wrestling fans, and they have a tendency through the years of, I'm only going to watch the WWE, I don't give a fuck about anything else. The fans that come to NXT from other things have a tendency of being more open and willing to watch more different styles of wrestling, and it makes a big difference. By the way, GCW actually, and this is off topic, speaking of other wrestling fans, GCW actually ran their Acid night, their tournament 2 nights. So they actually ran in front of fans this week.
All right. Joe's setting up here. He's coming in now, so we're going to get ready to record and go over some. It's the Working Fans Podcast. Have a good one.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Danny Limelight, and you listening to the Working Fans Podcast. Bet on it, B.
It's the Working Fans Podcast here. We got Joe, myself, Dave, and we got wrestler, actor, stuntman, and he's got a few other credits I'm going to get into. Mr. Danny Limelight. Danny, how are you, sir?
What's going on, baby?
Man, you have quite the interesting resume when I was looking you up, man. I'm pretty impressed.
Thank you, man. I try to, I try to be very diverse, Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. Well, all right, so that brings me to my first question then. You were also a Marine. Are you or were a Marine? What's your status?
So I was in the Marine Corps for 10 years. I got out of the service in October, so. But, once a Marine, always a Marine is what they say. But, yeah, I'm no longer serving. I did 10 years active duty. I joined when I was 17, going on 18, and, yeah, that was where my life started, really.
What got you into the Marines?
I was a shithead, so I didn't really have much going for me. I had got out of 2 high schools, and I had to go finish my senior year in the school way further than where I was raised at. And I was playing baseball throughout my high school years and as a child, so I wanted to be shortstop for the New York Yankees, and when everything happened where I got to schools, I couldn't play baseball my senior year. It kind of threw off my plan, and I had nothing else going for me really, and a friend of mine kind of tricked me into joining the Marine Corps. He told me that if I went with him to this recruiting station, he'll buy me pizza, and I was like, all right, cool, bro, I'm down for a slice of pizza. So I went with him, and there was a recruiter there. He started talking to me about the Marine Corps, and I was like, I don't know anything about the Marine Corps. All I know is I play Call of Duty, and the Marines are in the video game. And I didn't know any difference between, like, the Army or the Navy or the Marines. Like, I thought it was all the same, And I think a lot of people look at it that way. So basically, this, like, Marine Corps recruiter, he pretty much told me that I couldn't be a Marine, that I wasn't fit enough to be a Marine, and all this stuff. And I basically just took it as a challenge, and he told me he wouldn't enlist me. And so I walked up the office, and I went to go walk across the street to the Army recruiting station. And this Army guy, this soldier, he came out of the office, and he was smoking a cigarette, and he had his cell phone in his hand. And I looked at him, and I looked back at the Marine, who was looking, all sharp in his uniform, and it just looked, professionalism level just was like so different. And I just turned back around. I walked back into the recruiting station, and I said, no, I'm going to join the Marine. And the next day, my mom came to the office with my dad. They signed the paperwork because I was 17. I needed their signature. And 6 months after that, I was in South Carolina becoming a Marine.
You're a busy guy, man, because you were training somewhere around this time to be a wrestler. How did you break in, but also what got you into wrestling?
Okay, so I've always been like a wrestling fan. I don't want to say always. I started watching wrestling, and I stopped watching it, right after Eddie Guerrero had passed away. And, I was just a fan of it. It's something that I had always wanted to do, but it was like, you don't know how to get into something like that. And so I was in the Marines, and I went to Target with my daughter. She was just born. She was like maybe 4 or 5 months, and she was sitting in the car at Target. And we had stopped by like the Blu-ray section, because at the time I was collecting like all these Blu-rays and stuff. And I was looking for a Blu-ray, and like she like smacked the shelf, and like a bunch of Blu-rays fell down. And I don't know how she had this much strength when she was 5 months or whatever, but I ended up walking over towards to pick up the Blu-ray she knocked out, and the Rock's Blu-ray, like the Rock's top 10 greatest matches of all time or something like that. It was one of the Blu-rays that was on the floor. And I was like, I felt a little nostalgic. I hadn't watched wrestling in years since I had joined the Marine Corps. And this was about 2014, actually. And I picked up the Blu-ray. It was like $10.99. I bought it. I went home, and I put my daughter in like a little boppy, like a little seat for babies. And I put the Blu-ray on. I just sat there. I think my ex-wife at the time, her mom, she was like cooking dinner or something like that. And me and my daughter were just watching The Rock, wrestle like Mankind or wrestle like Triple H. I think it was like his WrestleMania 17 match with Austin. Like, all these matches were on the Blu-ray. And I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Like, my daughter's mom, she was like, I never seen wrestling, and, I was like, really? I was like, all right, cool. So, like, I looked up online to see, like, when the next time WWE was going to be in town, because I thought it'd be, like, a cool date just to go, watch them,
Yeah.
And when I pulled up, I was watching the show, and a buddy that I was in the Marine Corps with, he ran into me, and at the time I was a sergeant. And he was like, Sergeant, I didn't know you like wrestling. And I was like, I used to watch it when I was younger, and I kind of, hadn't watched it in a very long time, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, well, I'm trained to be a wrestler. And at first, like, I laughed. I thought it was funny because, like, you don't really hear that. I'm trained to be a pro wrestler. People think wrestling, they think, collegiate level. They think Olympic wrestling, weight divisions. And when I've known about wrestling, but I never knew what independent wrestling was. All I knew was WWE, WCW, and TNA. I didn't know about New Japan. I didn't know about Ring of Honor or the independent wrestling companies out there either. I didn't know any of that stuff.
Right.
So he told me he was training. I laughed. He said, no, at the time I was a first-degree black belt martial art instructor in the Marine Corps martial arts program. And so I was teaching the martial arts program, basically like close quarter combat stuff. And he said, you do this and that, and you're very fit. You should come check it out, man. I think you'd be good, He gave me the address. I laughed, and I ended up showing up like 2 weeks later to the address he gave me just out of like the whim. And this company, which I'm not going to mention because I just don't associate with them no more, and I don't want to give them any kind of clout off my name. But they were there training, and there was a bunch of people in the ring, and some of them were fat and skinny and all shapes and sizes, and there was like maybe 1 or 2 athletic people there, and it was just like a weird group of people training, and I was like, man, if these guys could do it, like, I could do it for sure. And I talked to the promoter. He was kind of a douchebag. He didn't think that I could do it, and I was like, look, he didn't take my money pretty much, like, either let me train or not. And he said, yeah, and then 3 months into training, I made my debut, and this was in October of 2014. I made my debut, and the rest was pretty much history from there. I started wrestling in August of, I started training in August of 2014. Had my first, debut in October of 2014, and then I went on to wrestle for about 2.5 years. Then I had to take a break because I was still in the Marine Corps, and I got selected to go be a drill instructor. And so I went to go make Marines in MCRD San Diego, and I had no time. I didn't have time for my daughter. I went through a divorce, a bunch of stuff like that had happened, and then when I got done being a drill instructor, I just said, you know what, like, I want to go back into wrestling. I had missed it. I seen a lot of my friends getting signed and doing big things, and I was like, man, I just want to be a part of that again, And I got back into the ring in January of 2018 after stepping away at the end of 2016. So about 2 years I stepped away. And, yeah, man, I kicked back off January 2018. I was training with, Lil Trono and Mariachi Loco. And I was training with, I had made a couple of stops at a couple of other little spots around the area. I was Santino's a few times with Douglas James, trained with Los Luchas in Santino camp. I started training with Jake Atlas. He would come train with me. I started training with Jungle Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Little one-on-one lessons. Not lessons, I would say. Like one-on-one training sessions, with Jake and Jungle Boy. I started training with Luchasaurus. And then I started training at Burbank, and I met, this guy named Jim Logan. He was a wrestler way back when who had a ring in his prop. He did, props for movies and stuff like that. And I had just got his son and acting and stuff, so that's how we kind of connected. And when he had a wrestling ring, he was looking for wrestlers. I started going there to train because it was 10 minutes from my house. And that's where I met Damian Sandow and John Morrison. And John really helped me step my game up. And it was because of meeting John that, he put me in his movie. I got to go do the movie with him in Florida at the Speed of Time, which is coming out soon, where I got to do stunts, all the fighting and stuff like that for that movie. And yeah, man, it's been like a roller coaster the last 2 years.
Yeah, sounds it, man. Super busy. You're a really good talker. Have you always been good with the gift of gab, or is that something you worked at?
I think that's a Brooklyn thing,
Okay.
Growing up, my dad had a mouthpiece on him always, and I kind of got my street smart and the way I talked to my dad, and just started trying to bullshit, and that's my way through life as a kid, talking my way out of detention or talking my way out of whatever. And I watched a lot of, The Rock was my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
And maybe he's the best wrestler in everybody else's time, but to me, The Rock had everything. He had the cool music. He had the catchphrases. He was with the microphone. He had entertaining moves in the ring, even though they weren't cool stuff. His matches were entertainment to me.
Yeah.
And, The Rock was just, then he started doing Hollywood. That's something that I had always wanted to do, be an actor and do stunts and stuff like that. And so, I watched a lot of The Rock, so the talking things, The Rock, I like boxing, and my favorite boxer was Mayweather. He had to bump on him, too. New York rappers talk a lot of shit, so I kind of just, it's a New York thing, I would say.
I gotcha.
I actually got to step in with a quick question since you mentioned New York rappers. Who's your favorite rapper that comes from the New York area?
It's going to be Jay-Z.
No, king of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jay-Z's my favorite rapper. I like, when I was younger, I liked 50 Cent. I liked 50 Cent's music. It was real gangster rap, and it was just, when I was in 6th, 7th grade, 5th grade, 50 Cent was, his music, his album, Get Rich Back Trying, was the album. You can listen from start to finish, and so I listened to a lot of him, but as I started getting a little bit older, I started listening to a lot more Jay-Z, because I liked that he was a businessman. I liked how he handled business, and his song, he's a legend himself, So yeah, I think if you listen to my iPod or my playlist, not even an iPod, I don't think anybody has an iPod anymore. But if you listen to my playlist, it's Jay-Z, Biggie Small, 50 Cent, and there's a lot of other new rappers and stuff like that. But it's mostly Jay-Z. I have a lot of Drake. I have a lot of Spanish music. I like Spanish music. Mark Anthony's my favorite. So I mix it up. I listen to all types of music. And then when my daughter's in the car, we listen to the Disney playlist, High School Musicals and Frozen songs, all things. And then she goes,
I gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah. Jay-Z is something else because, like he said, he's not just a businessman, he's a businessman. And
he's a man of his business, man.
And just hearing him over the years, his newest record, the 444, it was just another side of him, and you get to see that this guy is just super multifaceted.
You know what's crazy? I've been to 2 concerts my whole life. I went to Lil Wayne's Carter 3 tour in 2009, right before I went to boot camp, and the second and only other concert I went to was Jay-Z's 444 tour in 2017, and that concert was bananas.
Wow. Yeah, just when you mentioned New York hip-hop, I had to jump in there, because I'm a fan of all that 90s era stuff, but even a newer group like Flatbush Zombies got me, so I just had to get in that question about hip-hop real quick.
Definitely, man. New York music is great. I like Fabulous. I like Nas, Jada Kiss, Dipset back in the day was a cool group to listen to. So,
oh God, I was just listening to Cameron Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment yesterday, and just that older Dipset Cameron stuff. I can't get enough of the beats, the rhymes.
yeah,
They're just the best.
his beats has always been great, man.
You know, what's funny is Joe went off onto hip hop, and my mind went into boxing because when I grew up,
Okay.
I'm a little older, and like you're a Mayweather guy. I was actually grew up. I'm 43. I grew up on the Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagra, and like that kind of era of boxing. And so like I was going to ask you, do you still keep up with boxing? Because I had dipped away.
I do.
And I started getting into it again right around a couple years ago during the first Wilder Fury fight. Really captured my attention.
Okay. Well, when I was growing up, my dad always watched boxing. We used to go to my aunt's house all the time for the boxing fight. And my dad was a huge Felix Trinidad fan.
Oh, yeah.
The Puerto Rican guy, Trinidad. We watched a lot of him. We watched a lot of Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad started, getting me into boxing when I was younger and stuff like that. And Mayweather was my guy. Yeah, and it was more like the pretty boy Floyd era. Like he was actually,
Oh, yeah.
knocking, fighting. Like now, I mean, I haven't lost. If anything, I have more respect for Mayweather now. He owns the game. He knows how to do it.
Right.
He knows how to win. And people don't like to fight, but he does it to make money, and that's what he's great at. But I started watching it a lot more because of Mayweather. I liked Miguel Cotto or Miguel Cotto because he was Puerto Rican, and even Danny Garcia. I don't know if you know him.
Danny Swift Garcia. I just watched the fight with him.
Yeah. That boy Swift from Philly was another guy I like to watch. But if you bring up Tyson Fury, I had the chance to meet him in October when I was doing my little WWE extra work or whatever. We got to chat real quick with the Gypsy King, got a cool little picture with him. He's great people, man. And honestly, I know a lot of people have a lot of controversial opinions over this last fight, but I think Fury got him, man. I think he did, and I think he's one of the best heavyweight boxers out there. He's a big dude too, man. He's big.
It amazed, that fight surprised me. The way he brought it, he said he was going to do it, and I just didn't think. I thought, no way, not the way Wilder knocks people out, but no, he did.
Yeah,
he leaned on him, and I was like, holy shit.
And people were sleeping on him because of him doing a little WWE spit and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, he ain't training as hard as Wilder because he's playing with WWE, but that man came in there, he came in ready.
Jumping around a little bit, that was something I had thought about. You said WWE. You had a couple cameos with the WWE, right?
I have, yeah. In June was my first time doing any kind of work with them, and I had a tryout match there in Texas, and I got to, bring Alexa Bliss coffee on her little Moment of Bliss show. She's a great person, by the way. I love her.
She seems like a sweetheart, yeah.
She was a sweetheart. And then it's funny because, we chopped it up again this last time that I was there in October, so it was, a few months after, and, she still remembered me. She's just great people. So that same night that I brought Alexa Bliss coffee, I ended up being Goldberg's security guard, too.
Oh, good.
That was I think that was my favorite one. I mean, I had fun with the Moment of Bliss because a lot, it was a lot of TV time, and it was cool to drink up the coffee. But the nostalgia of walking Goldberg out after watching him as a kid was to me that was sick.
Did you do the conga line too, or no?
I did do the Congo line.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did the Congo line for No Way Jose.
No way, Jose. No way, Jose. No way, Jose.
And recently, I was the Mark fan of the crowd for Shane versus Kevin Owens when Kevin Owens played Shane Packin. They had his place. They had his place there with the ladder, so they take the ladder broke and stuff like that. No fans got hit with it, but they also told us to mark out for things. And it was the 20th anniversary of SmackDown. He the frog splash on the ladder. I'm there marking out, and the camera got me going crazy. So
now what?
It was fun.
I'll back up a little bit because I meant to ask you this. What got you into being a black belt, in karate? How did that come about?
Well, I was always a boxer, and I never had any ground game. I never had any submission work or anything like that. But the Marine Corps, they have martial arts, so I use that as the tool. So if I'm in here, I might as well take advantage of what I have to offer. So I went to the martial arts program, became a black belt, and then I went to the instructor's course to be able to teach and train. And I did that, and I trained 632 Marines in the Marine Corps martial arts program, just helping them advance in their belt levels and stuff like that. And that kind of just something that I did to just be more ready for whatever, their fight. And I think that when I first started wrestling, I wanted to do all the crazy, flippy, flying stuff because I'm super athletic. I do parkour and all that stuff like that, and I'm like okay with throwing my body around because I trust it way too much. But lately, I've been just operating like what I really am, which is a striker, a grappler, and I've been choking people out and kicking people in the face, and finding that's a lot easier on my body too, you know.
That background, is that how you and Douglas James kind of clicked a little bit too? Because he had recommended you, and he obviously has that fighting background
so
too.
DJ's my roommate actually.
Okay.
He and I met in the summer of 2015. We met, and we was in a triple threat match at the pre-show. So like the pre-show, like the match before the show supposedly actually starts, at a SCW show in San Diego. That company's no longer around, but that's where we met. We had a triple threat match, and like I knew he was good from the beginning. It was like one of his first matches too, and I was still like I'm on my first year of wrestling, and from there we wrestled again 1-on-1 in October, and like we kicked off this little rivalry thing because we were both like the hottest up and comers that year for the rookie. We were both like rookie of the year candidates, him and I. And we just started wrestling everywhere. And we got into this amazing feud down in San Diego. And Conan had came to the show and seen me and Doug wrestle in the 2 out of 3 falls match. It was insane. Actually, if you look that match up on YouTube, it's like Danny Limelight versus Douglas James, 2 out of 3 falls. It was so long ago, and him and I were so young and like had just started. But the match was just so dope. And like the crowd was insane. And Conan saw the match. He brought me and Doug to wrestle in Mexico 1-on-1 at the Crash. And this is when we made our Feel One debut from the 5,000 people at the Crash. And I think the main event for that card was like Rey Mysterio when he was still in the Indies, and Lince Dorado was there, and it was like, you know, Pentagon and Phoenix and Ray Horn, and it's like, whoa, like here we are, like a year and a half in, and we were like opening the show in front of 5,000 people. I had never wrestled in front of that many people in my life, and it was just an experience. And then from there, me and DJ, we just clicked, became boys, and we started wrestling each other a lot more, a lot up on the stage street. You know, had a few matches at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and it just kept going and going. And like last year, him and I got into like another little rivalry where we wrestled, I think, 3 more times last year or something like that, and we moved in with each other. Last summer, I had got into like a shitty situation. I was like left homeless and stuff like that. I was engaged, thought I was gonna marry the love of my life, and she like ghosted me. I had nowhere to go. I had the house that I owned, I was renting it out to a friend because I was in the process of buying another house for her and I just got screwed out of that. And Doug opened up his house to me. I slept on his couch for a week. We both left to New York for an Evolve tryout. We wrestled in New York at another company. We came back and we were like, dude, let's just get an apartment together. And from there, we got an apartment in Hollywood. So we've been pretty much roommates for like almost a year now.
Oh man, that's cool. You guys got each other's back like that. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, right here. They really help kind of prepare you for like TV matches and stuff like that. So
for me, I love wrestling at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. I'm super grateful for, you know, David Marquez and Yuma and Angelo and Nick and everybody that was involved back there that was like, let's bring Danny in. And I made my debut in 2015 for Champions from Hollywood. So, like, I was a year in, and they had hit me up, and they were like, we want to bring you as a tag team. And we want you to be Puerto Ricans from New York, and we want you to talk a lot of crap and have a lot of fun, and I was all for it. I've been wrestling with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood ever since, and I love it there, man. And the production, the TV time, just being able to learn how to work the cameras and run the ropes the right way and where to do your moves so that the camera picks it up, and the facials, and being able to cut a promo on the spot, being able to talk on the mic in front of a live audience, in front of a live crowd, stuff like that. Like, that's what Championship Wrestling from Hollywood prepares you for. Some people like say negative things about it, but for me, like, I have nothing but positive things to say, because when I go wrestle at other places and there's like cameras, or they're doing like live streams for Twitch, or they're doing live streams to Fight TV or whatever, like, some of these guys, you know, on the indies, they don't know how to, like, work a camera, you know? Like, they don't know how to run hard cam. And, like, I'm trying to, you know, it's like, wow, like, it makes me feel like light years ahead of people because of the training that I got from, like, Yuma and Joey Ryan and Dave Marquez and Peter Avalon and, you know, all the other guys that are back there running things. Like, it's very beneficial, especially for somebody who's as young as I was when I started wrestling there, to learn the right way, how to work, you know, how to use the cameras and stuff like that, because that's your money, man. Like, yeah, there may be 50, 100 people, 200 people, 2,000 people in attendance, but, you know, there's way more of that watching at home, hopefully, you know, and that's what you got, that's what you make your money at. I'm forever grateful for championship wrestling from Hollywood.
Absolutely. You've done some stunt work, but you were also on your IMDb page. I saw that you were you wrote and produced something too. Did I see that right?
Yeah. So ever since I was younger, I had a creative mind. I've always been wanting to do more. I never closed any door. And something that I was always good at when I was younger was writing. And so recently, in November, in the end of October, I started writing a project called TNT, which was a boxing film, and it was led by females. And every female in the movie is a stunt woman or an action actress, so they act and they do stunts. And they're all part of the team of girls that I train with, stunts and stuff like that. So I wrote this movie about a sister and a brother who lost their father, and the sister's a boxer, but she's a hothead. And her older brother is pretty much trying to, like, keep her straight and narrow, and they get into some things. And I wrote this. I sent the script to everybody that I wanted to be a part of it. They read it. They were down. And two of my best friends, Juliana Montalve and Ruth Marie Conde, like, I had them in the film, and my other homegirl, Lynn, they starred in it. And I went out there. I played the brother. My daughter was in the movie, too. And I had pretty much everybody that I trained with part of this film. And it went really well. And it's actually in post-production right now. It's a short film. It's about 15 minutes long. And it's about family, it's about fighting, it's about honor. And it's cool because I was the stunt coordinator. I coordinated all the stunts, I coordinated all the fights. And we had some people come out and shoot it. And yeah, it went well for my first project. I learned a lot. Everybody involved learned a lot. And I think that was something that I'm forever grateful for. I actually just finished writing another project right now. It's about the coronavirus. And, you know, I got actor Saeed Bashrea, who was in Iron Man. Don't mess with Don't. He's basically the Egyptian actor that gets typecasted as all the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy that pretty much kidnapped Robert Downey Jr., put him in the cave.
Right.
He's a good friend of mine, and he's going to be in the movie. And,
that's awesome.
You know, I've been working and talking a lot with Doug Jones, another friend of mine, and you know Doug Jones from Hellboy and Shape of Water and Hocus Pocus and all those movies.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, and so this coronavirus movie that I wrote. We're going to be shooting it soon, and hopefully, depending on how this pandemic goes. And yeah, it should be another short film, maybe 10 minutes long. And I'm just trying to put a lot of content out there. I do a lot of short little fight scenes. I come up with the choreography. Me and my friends go out. We come up with a little story, and we go shoot it, and we fight, and we just have fun. And my daughter, she's acting too now.
Oh man!
And a commercial just came out on TV yesterday. Just aired on national TV. It's a General Mills cereal commercial, and
my wife is not all that.
There you go.
It's a General Mills cereal commercial with trolls, and yeah, they're promoting the new Trolls movie that's coming out, and she's like in the shopping cart, and they all transform into like little trolls and promote the movie. So my daughter's doing that, and she's going on to a lot of auditions. She has like 3 or 4 auditions a week. She's like killing it right now.
Wow.
Yeah, she's doing a lot more than me. She'll pick next month. So.
Well, you guys are definitely staying active during this time. So if they're canceling shows, you guys aren't gonna like waste time. You'll do other things.
Yeah, we can't, man. We can't let this thing keep us down. We got to be safe, be smart, be healthy. But if we can't be out there doing stuff, we need to be writing project after project, or training, or doing push-ups in the house, or doing her math homework and stuff like that, and watching Disney movies, and just you know. Okay, we'll just watch Disney movies.
God, I saw a video with you on YouTube where you said you try and make the most out of all of the 24 hours in a day, and you're not kidding. If one thing's not going on, you're on to the next, and just keeping busy, which is good to hear.
Yeah, I think that was the video that the Marine Corps did on me. Being a wrestler and Marine and stuff like that. Yep. Yeah, but 86,400 seconds in a day, they know what you're doing with them, you know?
It's funny because I've been talking to people who like don't have anything to do, but like my other line of work, I deliver bread, and stores are empty right now, so I'm constantly busy with that. And the other thing I'm doing is podcasting, and I got a ton of wrestlers who are willing to do interviews now because no one's doing anything. So it's like I've never been busier myself, you know? Yeah,
man. Everybody's like, well, if we can't like do a wrestle, might as well do a podcast, promote ourselves some kind of way, do some kind of content.
Sure.
Content, excuse me. I'm also in school right now, so it's like I'm in acting school, and we have like, since the schools are shut down, we got to do like live video chat with the teachers and stuff like that. And yeah, man, it never ends.
It's funny because everybody here is working from school when you're in college, and they're like, oh, that must be awesome. But you're like, no, because I have to fit it into my personal time, and it can go even longer than a classroom because you really want to get that information the right way.
Yep, and it's different. It's not like I'm doing math or English or like social studies. Like, it's acting, so now we have to try to act over like the camera, and our scene partners are like somewhere else, and it's just like it's not the same, but we're trying, you know.
Yeah, you got to make do with the best the situation gives you.
Yep.
All right.
The season's just gonna work.
All right, Danny. So obviously we learned today is you are a very goal-oriented person. You're very versatile. Final question. In the meantime, what are your future goals that you want to achieve this year, maybe?
Well, originally when this year came into it, I wanted it to be, you know, I had a 2020 vision, and I just really wanted to get out there more, wrestle for a lot of new different companies, promote myself more, you know, and hopefully sign a contract with a major company, you know, and with this whole pandemic happening, it's probably going to set some of that stuff back. But as of right now, I'm going to keep pushing forward. I want to, you know, book another commercial or two, shoot this movie, help my daughter get into a couple more commercials, and, you know, I wanted to sign to a talent agency. We both got signed, so I knocked those goals off my list, and just got to keep pushing forward. Always thinking of new ways, new things, weight goals, health goals, diet goals, stuff like that. I'm just always trying to, once I complete something, just push to the next one. So.
Awesome,
Amazing.
man.
Thank you.
You were a fantastic interview. That was great, man.
Thank
You
you
ever
so much.
need anything to promote, you call us anytime. No worries, man.
Yeah, can I just plug my social media real quick if you don't
Oh,
mind?
yeah. I meant to do that. Go ahead. You're so good. We forgot about it. Go ahead, man. Do it.
I just want everybody to follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Danny Limelight. DANNY LINELIGHT. And if you want to see what my daughter's doing, she's killing it. Hers is at Leafy Rivera, LEESI RIVERA.
All right, man.
Follow me on Instagram and TikTok.
All right. That's awesome, man. All right. What a pro. That's
Yeah,
great.
thank you for your time, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, both of you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. You guys have a great night. Bye.
Bye. This is the ultimate hybrid wrestler, MLW's Douglas James, and you're listening to the Working Fans Podcast. Listen now.
Working Fans Podcast with Dave and Joe, and today we have MLW superstar, Mr. Douglas James. Douglas, how are you, friend?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Very good, very good.
Excellent.
We're big fans of MLW here, man. The first time I saw you, I think there was like PCW Ultra, and I was just kind of curious, like, what got you into wrestling and what got you kind of started?
So, I've been a wrestling fan, you know, since I was a really little kid, and I grew up, you know, loving it. I used to go to, you know, all the events that were, I'm from New Jersey, so I used to go to all the local events, you know, all the Raws, and my dad would come out at 8 to get tickets. But I love going to sports, so I used to play baseball, football, soccer, you know, basketball, I played ice hockey. I was like just always doing something as a little kid, and then when I was in high school, I played football and I wrestled in high school. And, you know, with that, with wrestling, I did pretty well, and I transitioned into MMA. I always wanted to be a wrestler. I always wanted to do pro wrestling. I guess for me, I just thought I was like, I don't know, too small, or didn't really have the guts, really, you know, like to make that first step to just do it. And I just went to MMA, and, you know, I ended up with like jiu-jitsu tournaments, amateur MMA fights, pro MMA fights, and eventually moved to California. And I got to the point where, like, you know, regional professional MMA is very hard, too. You get paid a lot, you know, things fall through, and I just didn't love it, and I was getting older, and now or never, and I was working on a food truck at the time, and I didn't have much money, and I was going $2 scratch off. I was going $200, and the $200 was the additional payment to Santino's, and I found Santino's through Google, and literally, I think I won it like on a Saturday, and like on Monday I started. I kind of how I started. I literally found Santino's through Google. I kind of just jumped in, and, you know, 5 months later I made my debut, and that's kind of how I got started. Yeah, a lot of sports and big fan, and MMA. things like that.
Yo, back it up for a second, too. Kind of funny you were saying there's not a lot of money on the regional MMA scene. My ex-wife's brother-in-law, Thane Stimson, he did a couple MMA fights. He actually trained out in California with Team Alpha Male. He had like only about 4 amateur fights, though, and then he had kids, and he's like, I can't make this work. But, yeah, well, it's funny. He fought MMA. One of the guys he lost to was Rob Font. And Rob Font ended up being in the UFC, and it's like one of the, I want to say he's in the top 15, top 10 bantamweights right now. And I'm like, man, if he only knew the guy he lost to was like super successful, I wonder if he would have like hung on a little longer, you know?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. A lot of it, like, I mean, MMA is a little bit different, but it's pretty similar to wrestling with a lot of its longevity, you know? Put up with the bullshit or getting through those hard fights or whatever it is, you know? Yeah, original MMA, I mean, it's like crazy. You have to like sell tickets, and you know, if you don't sell enough tickets, you don't get paid, and it's the whole thing. Not into it.
Did you train jiu-jitsu with Eddie Bravo?
I did. When I first started doing like MMA and all that, jiu-jitsu, I started in New York and New Jersey. So my fight team out there was the AMA Fight Club, like the Jim and Dan Miller was from, and Charlie Brenneman from back in the day. And so, yeah, when I moved out to California in like 2012, 13, I started with Eddie, and Eddie gave me my pony belt. Right, so I compete for Eddie, and I was very much 10 kind of guy, and Eddie's awesome. Like, any kind of like negative feedback anybody has towards Eddie, like, doesn't know him. You know, he's the coolest person ever, and super open-minded, especially for something like jiu-jitsu. Very welcoming, and you know, he just wants the sport to be better, and he just wants positivity, and he's great. He's really good. So. Yeah,
I think Rogan was saying something about that, like, because, you know, obviously he's known for his conspiracy theories and stuff, too, but...
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, he's definitely wild, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's a good guy. He's not, like... And, yeah. I mean, I definitely think, like, his classes used to be, like, over 2 hours. And I definitely showed up to a class once, and he was just so high. He was talking for an hour and a half on 9/11. You know, like, I think those things happen, but he's really cool, man.
But yeah, they were saying that was one of the things that made him so good at jiu-jitsu, though, because he was so open-minded that he was constantly learning and trying new things that no one else would do.
Yeah, he's like permanently high, you know. So
that's great. As far as like in the ring, your style, is there any particular influences, whether it's MMA or pro wrestling?
I would say a little bit of both. I would say a little bit of my style is like almost like I would imagine a lot of the guys that are wrestling now have a similar mindset, but there's a lot of the guys I grew up idolizing. And I like that shooting style, the more grappling based or hard striking based, like high intensity athletic contact. So, I mean, I was always a really big Shawn Michaels fan. Shawn Michaels was my Mysterio, like one and number 2 as a kid. You know, but I really looked up to, like, I mean, a murderer, but, you know, first in the law, like Kurt Angle, those kind of guys, you know, Perry Saturn, like Eddie Guerrero. Those kind of guys are like Daniel Bryan, you know, so I really like, that kind of more of a technical style, but I do have an MMA background. You know, I do have, legit fights and tournaments and training, and so I was using that background because being different is good, and, to use the best of my abilities, and I have that ability. So, so we do both. I think that kind of works out for me.
You competed in no-gi tournaments as well, right?
Yeah, I compete, pretty consistently all the time, and it wasn't like I competed in like Worlds and stuff, and I won like the SJJIF 2013 Worlds in Long Beach at the Pyramid. I won that. Yeah, and I'm very much like a go all in kind of guy, but I love wrestling, and pro wrestling's the best. So I use a little jiu-jitsu, in my wrestling, and keep it legitimate.
Now you're in MLW. What would you say? You're working on TV record. Is there any particular promotions that maybe prepared you best for this before you got here?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say maybe like 2 different promotions, right? So I would say one. So when I first started, my third match ever was at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. So it was TV, and wrestling with TV is different than wrestling in a normal independent show. Whether it's like where you are with the cameras and all those kind of, and like timing and different things, and it's a tool that not everybody gets to learn, and I kind of learned that pretty quickly with doing that, with like trial and error. I think that has helped me with MLW because I lost with the cameras and being on TV and things like that. But I also think working for companies like PCW Ultra or like Defy, Well, especially CCW Ultras in my home for almost 4 years. It's like a big promotion, this big, event where like 1,000 people, a lot of lights, a lot of like moving parts. Kind of being a part of that, you don't get lost in how, you go to MLW where it's a bigger thing, it's a bigger lights, it's TV, all that stuff. So, pre-tapes and things like that, I think that has allowed me to be more comfortable in that kind of new environment.
I ran across something called, I don't know what promotion this was, I don't even know the background, but it was called Douglas James versus Backyard Wrestlers, Backyard Tribute. What happened there? What was going on there?
Oh boy! All right, actually, not many people really know like the full story.
That's why I was interested.
So here it goes. So I guess so it kind of went like viral, whatever it was, like 3.5 years ago, a little bit, and then it kind of came back a couple months ago, and then a little bit recently I reposted it, and it got like a lot of positive and negative feedback. Well, basically the story is I was basically booked for over a year in wrestling, barely a year in, maybe not even, and I was booked to do like a Royal Rumble. Because the owner had told me that, a little bit before, that I was going to be winning this Royal Rumble. Whatever. And then I get to the show, change of plans, somebody else was going to win, and I was going to, be the last one eliminated. So, whatever. The show was supposed to start at 8. Things started a little bit later. Everyone was going long. I think it was, becoming almost 10:30, and it wasn't even intermission yet. And we were, in East LA, and it's, really shitty warehouse, not in a good area. And it's getting late, and a lot of good names on the show, Scorpio Sky was on the show, Danny Limelight, there were 2 people on the show. Yeah, just so I got this idea, because I was supposed to come out 26th out of 30. And I was like, why don't I come out at number 1? And I laughed to the end, because then I lose the whole babyface thing. The promoter liked it, but there was going to be backyarders in the beginning of the Rumble. I said, it's fine, it'll all work out. And then, whatever, so the Royal Rumble starts. I didn't think anything of it. I just really, I just went in there thinking it was going to all work out. And I would just slowly eliminate these guys because they don't belong there. First thing I did was I drop kicked one of them. No different than anybody else, but he never bumped it to him. So when he bumped on the mat, he broke his rib.
Oh, jeez.
So when I went to pick him up, he was and I saw you see kind of in the funny music thing, I kind of let you throw somebody over, and his hand gets hurt. And then right when he was hurt, that kind of ruined everything, because the idea was I was going to kind of take a back seat to let them kind of do their thing. And then now, the veterans in the back are look at he was hurt and telling me, go after him,
Right.
Not in a bad way. I'm not if I wanted to hurt them, I would really hurt them,
Right.
I was just trying to it was no more different than I got at wrestling training. We used to get beat down for weeks, it's just what it is. And I just kicked them a little harder than they should because they weren't doing they didn't know what they were doing, and that's kind of what it is. And it was just I was just throwing shoot drop kicks all of a sudden, and it just became this thing, and they didn't belong there. It was silly. I would never be in that situation again, but I would do that again because at the end of the day, you have to just nowadays everyone can get popular through viral videos, and that's all well and good. I understand how it works, but I paid a lot of money to train a wrestler. I spent money getting in shape to be a wrestler, and it's a lot of time, and I hate using the word, but it's a lot of sacrifice, and I sacrificed a lot of other things to do this, and it's nobody's choice but my own. But if you're going to come into this, there should be some kind of respect to it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's kind of what happened, and it was very much not planned in advance, just a storm that ends up happening. And
yeah, I should tell you, I'm a huge fan. I'm 43 years old, and I've been a fan of wrestling since I was 4, and we've interviewed Al Snow, and we talk about people at wrestling schools. So when I saw that, my perspective was I just felt bad for you. Clearly these guys didn't really know what they were doing, so I'm I never thought you wanted to hurt him or anything. I just thought, how did he get stuck in this poor situation? That's why I wanted to ask you. So,
yeah, but I basically put myself in a situation thinking it would one of those when you're really optimistic about something, and you're it'll go great. It'll be fine. It was like that. Sorry, it was like that, and then immediately it was oh no, it's not going to work. It's kind of that situation. So I still kind of deal with a little bit of slack from that. It's I'm not a bad person. I just in the business.
I wanted to take the interview in a little bit of a different direction because I read an article where I heard you talk about getting sober and what it did for your life, as well as the book Zen and the Art of Happiness. So I was hoping you could tell us about the process to getting sober and then why that book was important to you, because I haven't read it, but just based on what I saw in the article, I got to check it out. But tell us about it.
Yeah. I don't know, I guess like a little bit of the rundown was, so, you know, I was in a relationship, I was engaged, and I was wrestling, and I wasn't really happy, you know, I started wrestling, like, in shape, and all that kind of stuff, and I kind of like, all of a sudden I started to, you know, use alcohol and weed as a way to, like, cope with my feelings. It wasn't like having a good time, I was doing it just, like, cope, and it started to come out of control, and basically I got to a point where I realized, like, if I kept doing this, I'm not going to live the life I want to live. And I'm really a pretty positive person. You know, we all have our things. I like to laugh and joke, have a good time. And I realized I wasn't I wasn't me. I wasn't positive. I wasn't really motivated. And I knew that it had to do with me. You know, it wasn't like other people's fault. It was mine. I had to figure it out. And I remember I was doing like a steel cage match in San Diego. And I was driving out of the show, and I realized I needed to, like, figure my life out, like, immediately. And I called my parents, and they live in New Jersey, and basically it was like, I think when you have a problem, the hardest thing to do is admit you have a problem. And I admitted that I needed some help, you know, and basically what I did was I just try to, like, get out of myself, because a lot of times, no matter what your problem is, whether it's, like, spending too much money, or being in a relationship, so I don't know, whatever it is, or eating too much, I don't know, like, we all have reasons for why we do these things. Just trying to figure out myself, and yeah, so, like, I read this book, and it was like almost like a bathroom read, you know, like 100-some pages. And it's a little bit of an extreme side of being positive, but basically, like, you know, a lot of what life is your reactions to action. You know, something can happen and you can be negative about it, and usually a lot of times negative reactions cause negative feelings, which cause negative results, you know? And the same thing with positive. If you react positively to something, like a better positive thing might happen and you get positive results. And it's kind of like a story of that. It's like different tales of like reacting positively and what that can lead to kind of being negative, you know? And sure, there are definitely times it can be negative. It's hard, and like, you know, these times right now, everything's shut down, and yeah, so basically I just dove into myself and really fixed my life in a way, you know, and then like, it was a couple months after I got sober, I dislocated my hip, and it was crazy, and I like, you know, I didn't, you know, drink or anything, and I got through it, I came back in like 2 months, and it like reconfirmed to me like the power of positivity. You know, I got very lucky in the injury that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But I think for me, yeah, staying positive is just like the proof is in the pudding, you know? Like, sure, there's definitely ups and downs and the roller coaster ride, but as long as you kind of stay on the up and up kind of thing, it's good for the daily check-in, you know? Not perfect. But as long as I'm honest with myself, I'm good.
A couple more questions. Basically, your experience in MLW.
MLW is great. So for me, it was like a big goal of mine to be able to be there. I try, you know, and then being able to be fine with them. It feels like a dream come true, you know. I'm a professional wrestler on national TV, international TV. It's a great experience, you know. Everyone's really great. It's a great team. And I really love the product. And I think for somebody like myself that comes from like an MMA background, you know, legitimate grappling background, it's a perfect place for people like, you know, Loki, you know, Dave Boy Smith Jr., Simon Gotch, you know, different people like that. Yeah, Dominic Guarini, you know, Thatcher was there, Tom Lower. It's just, I don't know, it's almost like the perfect place for me. And I'm just looking forward to the future of all the things happening at MLW. It seems like it's constantly growing. And I don't know what necessarily I've learned. I'm learning about myself and how I need to, you know, continuously get better. I mean, my goal at MLW is I want to be like the face of the company. I want to be the Indian face of the company and take it to new heights.
Normally we'll ask you if you have anything you want to promote. Obviously, we don't know what's going on right in the world right now as far as upcoming shows.
Yeah, it's really crazy right now. But honestly, like, if you could, you know, social media, follow me at Douglas James Pro on Twitter, and Douglas James Pro on Instagram. And then, you know, just, I don't know, find the high spots and different kind of streams and different YouTube channels of wrestling and just support everybody you can. And I know money's tight for everybody, so you don't got to buy my merch, but just try to, you know, keep wrestling alive and stay positive.
Do you have a pro wrestling tees store that people could visit if they want?
I don't, but I have a store. It's called douglasjames.storeenvy. douglasjames.storeenvy.com. And it has like over 10 shirts on there, like coffee mugs and hoodies and stuff like that. So. Right, yeah, April 18th got canceled, so hopefully they're on in May, and it's just, it's a crazy time, but I think, we're all in it together,
Damn
we're all dealing with this, not like one person, so.
Awesome.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, have a good one.
You as well, man. Thank you.
You too.
All right, get it.
All right, so that wraps us up for this week. Thank you again for listening to the Working Fans Podcast. So as always, you can find us on Twitter at FansWorking. Our Facebook page is Working Fans Wrestling Pod. We have email where you can reach out to us and let us know what you think also. That's workingfanswrestlingpod@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram, workingfanswrestling_pod. And then as always, please continue to listen to us on Anchor.fm, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, all your major platforms. If you're following us on Apple Podcasts, which we are also on now, and YouTube, please make sure you subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps us bring you these podcasts where we get to talk to you and talk with you every week.